Welcome to today's Q&A. It is Tuesday already. We had a little short week this week, but well, some of us have. Welcome to today's Q&A here on our YouTube channel. If you're new to our YouTube channel, just as a reminder, if you have any questions, please leave it in the chat so we can answer it. I've got Tanya here in the background as well as myself, so feel free to ask your questions, find out what we've got available out of your area, and as always, good morning, good morning. So hey Amy, Tanya's here, Risky Red, good morning. Thank you guys for joining me today. We're going to talk about the CVSA's International Roadcheck. Yes, this is the another road check that's going on. It is going from, let's see, today is the 8th? I believe it's going through the 11th for the International Roadcheck Safety. So as always, be prepared, and one of the best ways to be prepared is to do a full pre-trip, right? On both your tractor and your trailer. Good morning, good morning. If you guys have a question on any of the available positions that we have, you can go ahead and leave it in the chat and we'll answer them as they come in. Otherwise, we're going to be talking about international safety as well as addressing some of our games and rewards that we've been doing here in the last couple of weeks. So we've been basically doing a photo contest the last 4 weeks, and last week was the final one, at least for the time being, and it was focused on hobbies. So congratulations to Steven Ferreira for the Lego hobby. Congratulations. He won a $40 gift card to the Pilot Flying J as well as a Decker cap. So if you haven't already heard from Katie, she will be coming your direction or calling you here shortly to find out what cap you want, what Decker hat you want, as well as where to send it. Amy, have any ideas on where to send that? Just kidding. Go ahead. But she'll be calling Steven here with details on that. So, sound great? Awesome. So congratulations. John American Truckers. Good morning. Good afternoon in some areas. Morning in mine, still, officially. Says, is there any positions for dedicated owner-operator and flatbed? As of right now, there aren't any dedicated positions in the owner-operator flatbed position, but we can always, if a position opens up, we can always work you into it. Right now, depending on where you live, we have over-the-road flatbed, and we have more of a regional flatbed. Midwest is more my regional flatbed. Of course, if you live in North Carolina, areas of North Carolina that we're hiring in, as well as Northern Alabama and Northern Georgia, we have Home Weekly for our flatbed OTR division as well. That one's going to pay 72% of the load, whether you're in the Midwest Home Weekly or if you're in the over-the-road. But like I said, there is multiple weeks out at a time options as well. But for something that's more dedicated, I'm assuming you're looking for something with a little bit better home time. Those are the locations that we do offer that. We do have a dedicated position in our flatbed division based out of Nashville, Arkansas. That one is yet another one. Felix says, do you hire out of Arizona? We do. If you live in the Phoenix area, we have over-the-road refrigerated, which would get you home every 2 weeks for... Oh, I'm frozen. Sorry, you guys. Would get you home every 2 weeks. And again, that's over-the-road refrigerated in that division. It does require 9 months of tractor-trailer experience. Flatbed requires 1 year of flatbed experience. You just noticed that? Yep. I gotcha. We got papers in the way of my microphone. I better fix that. Jay Maker says, I'm from Arizona. Arizona, I do not have flatbed out of Arizona. I only have the refrigerated options. So no flatbed there. But it does, but for the owner operators for our flatbed, or excuse me, our refrigerated division, you'd be out about 2 to 3 weeks at a time. It is not, like I said, it is not dedicated, and it pays $1 a mile plus the fuel surcharge, and that's going to be on all dispatch miles, so loaded and empty. Felix says, I have at least 18 to 24 months, and that's for the refrigerated. You'll be fine then. Perfect. So I've got both of you out of Arizona. Fantastic. Yeah, both refrigerated though. That's what I've got out of your area. I'm already working for Decker. Okay. So you guys do. You've got all these different names. The slang names on the chat. I never know who I'm talking to. Sorry about that. All right. Excellent, excellent. Any other questions before we jump into everything on the CVSA? Again, what we're talking about today is the International Roadcheck, and just being prepared for that. The focus this year for the Roadcheck is going to be more on driver requirements. Last year, I believe it's more brake safety, but this one is driver requirements. Actually, last year we had one with brake safety. We also had one that was more, what do I want to say, unsafe driving. And so the focus was more on speeding, distracted driving, things like that, trying to avoid those major distractions. Whereas this year, is scheduled to be focusing on more of the driver requirements. So, i.e., like driver documents, motor carrier identity, your MS number, your DOT number, license, medical card, medical certificate, having all of that information. You're having your hours of service, so making sure your ELDs are working properly, that you're obviously using those, and then of course periodic inspection reports. Those are all the things that they'll be looking for during this week's inspection. Felix says, do you do lease purchase? We do have lease purchase available in some states. Arizona, yep, you'd be available for the lease purchase in the over-the-road refrigerated division. It does require either $1,500 down or run for 90 days as a company driver. Make sure that your scorecard, which is one of the bonus systems we use, it's one of the gauges we use basically to determine how much of a bonus you'll get every month. But as long as your scorecard is 850 or above during those 3 months, then what we can do is we can have you transition over to the lease purchase, and we can start basically having you put $50, $100 a week into an escrow to add up to that $1,500 down. So it's $1,500 down payment or deposit for the lease purchase. It's $650 a week for the lease purchase, and then it's usually a 4-year lease term. We've had a couple of guys that just recently finished off their lease purchase. Tim actually has done 2 of them. Richard's gotten one. So we've got a couple of guys who have just finished their lease purchase. We also have a couple that are just knocking on the door, really close to finishing those lease purchase and doing very well. Let's see. Tanya says, during the 72-hour road check blitz, 15 trucks or buses inspected on average every minute across North America. J America says, Felix, yep, they do. Hope you don't mind me answering. Absolutely not. Feel free. We love the input. J America also says, great company. Awesome. Love to hear that. Thank you. Tanya, North America's standard level 1 inspection, a 37-step procedure that includes 2 main inspection categories, an examination of driver operation requirements and vehicle mechanical fitness. So make sure you have all of your documents ready to present to the officer. Felix says, can I apply for refrigerated? Absolutely. Go to drivedecker.com, so www.drivedecker.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, it says apply now. You can also call the 800 number. Actually, there's the website, and there's the 800 number, 888-668-0698. Corbin's on here, trucking with Corbin. Hello, hello, hello. Headed to Cedar Rapids, huh? Amy says it's quiet here. Caden's first day of school. Woohoo! He made it. Awesome. Now is he in Missoula then, or are you guys staying in Sealy? Tanya says Corbin drives safe. Amy, it's kind of nice. I get to listen, not be disrupted. Oh, I'm sure there'll be like somebody disrupt you. You know, a mailman or garbage or whatever. Third category, Tanya says hazardous materials, dangerous goods can also be part of level 1 inspection. Absolutely. So again, be prepared. Be prepared. Be prepared. Last year, from June 4th through the 6th, so in 2019, the inspectors conducted over 67 21,000 inspections on commercial motor vehicles. That's not only in the US, but Canada and the US. And that, again, was part of the CVSA, Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance's International Roadcheck. So during those 3 days, June 4th through the 6th, over 12,000 vehicles were removed off the roadways. And that's due to having critical vehicle inspection items. So those type of violations. Over 2,700 drivers were placed out of service for driver-related violations. That's about 17, almost 18% overall vehicle out of service rate, and over 4% driver out of service rate. So obviously they're catching things. Be aware, be prepared, do your proper pre-trip, make sure that you're not only checking out the vehicle, the truck and the trailer and your own ELDs, but making sure that you have the documentation needed needed to hand to the officer during all of this. Amy says, we're in Sealy, Missoula. Housing is, yeah, it is. The prices have just shot up really high. Absolutely. Tanya says, depending on weather conditions, available resources, or personnel, other factors, inspectors may opt to conduct the level 2 walk-around driver vehicle inspection. Hey, don't forget that here at Decker, for any clean inspection that you have, you do get an extra $50. So again, besides not having any marks on your record or on your the CSA points or anything like that, you also get the extra $50. So who doesn't want that? Nobody says no to money. Amy says, Montana got some snow to keep your chains close and get some of those if you're missing. Absolutely, Amy's right. This last weekend, yesterday, and I think later on in the week, actually later in the week it's supposed to be hot, hot, hot. But at least where I was at, it was 90s on, I'm trying to see what day, 90s on Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, and it was 48 in some locations. It was at 30 in other locations here in Montana. We got plenty of snow up in the mountains, so be safe. Don't forget that it is required that you're carrying chains from September 1st to May 31st. Yep, 'tis the time of year. I think, they start saying chains, carry your chains. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, no big deal. We'll just snow. Amy says, Jesse, did you see my photos I snapped this morning after I dropped? No, I didn't. I didn't see them this morning. I'll have to grab those. See if I can snag them now. For the driver portion, Tanya says, of an inspection, the inspector will collect and verify the driver's documents. Exactly. We're frozen again. Here we go. It'll happen. And identify the motor carrier exam for the driver's license. Yep, all of the above. So be prepared. Be prepared. Check record of duty status and review periodic inspection reports. Yep. Corbin says, how about FMCSA wanting to make 18 to 20-year-olds able to do the interstate? Might as well let them start at 16. Yes, so give me your input, you guys. I want to know what you have to say about that. Let's see, I think next week, we'll be learning even more about that conversation that's going on there. But did you guys check that out on Trekker News? I know that's where I saw it. They're talking about putting 18 and 20-year-olds in a commercial motor vehicle. The argument oftentimes is if they're able to go to war, able to fight for the country, why can't they drive? That's an argument that I hear all the time. But yep, that's the discussion right now, 18 to 20-year-olds. Do you know why that is so important right now? Or why that's such a high topic right now? Part of it is that within the trucking industry, we've got 3-4 million drivers in the US, and over 400,000 have come off the road because of COVID, of various reasons. Not necessarily because they tested positive for COVID, but because they're trying to avoid it, or maybe they have weak immune systems and felt like it was safer for them to get off the road during all of this. And we were already at a shortage. You guys know how important it is to have a professional, skilled, reliable driver out on the road. We've got constant freight. There's always going to be a need. And now that the numbers went from already needing professional drivers to really, really needing professional drivers. Yeah, they're hurting. They're looking at 18 to 20-year-olds right now. Amy says 90 here Sunday, 37 yesterday. Yep. Frozen in. Yep, I got it. Corbin says, yeah, that's going to be a heck no to me. I changed your wording. Tanya says, I feel before any teenager gets their license, they need to ride in for a day or two. Oh, completely agree with that. Yeah, they need to just get a feel for what it's like to be out on the road. Totally different lifestyle, and you have to respect it. If you grew up with family member over the road, you're going to have a better understanding, in my opinion, of what it's going to take. But until you're behind the wheel, you're really not going to grasp the whole thing. So, Corbin says, too immature. But yep, I agree with you, Tanya. Lack of qualified drivers. That's exactly right. And so a little bit different qualification than what the CVSA is looking for right now. I mean, we're talking about, or I guess more requirements, but we're talking about qualified drivers who know how to handle a truck and are going to be ready for numerous things that are coming at them. Because think about the instances that you've had on the road and all the different scenarios that you've had, how you've had to react accordingly. It's hard as an experienced driver. I can't imagine being that young and doing it. But there is most definitely a need, and they're looking for different avenues. This is one of them that they're looking at. Felix says, I would love to work with you guys. Absolutely, get that application in. Call a recruiter and let's make sure that we can move this along for you. If you haven't already gotten your app in. Like I said, where is this? The web address, drivedecker.com, and the telephone number, 888-668-0698. Amy says, shared the same photos I did with you to my mother-in-law, and she's freaking out. She lives in California, and we live in the woods in Montana. Let me see if I can grab those. It'd be fun. Let's see. Oh my goodness, I can see it. Let's see if we can share these. These are from Montana Pictures. Wait, by the way, we like to share these, so if you haven't already recognized that, we do like to share our photos. Feel free to send them our direction if you have any photos that you'd like to share. I'm going to see if you can see. I'm not sure if you can see this or not. Can ya? Pretty darn adorable. I mean, scary, yes, but there you go. Can you see those? Amy says, Mama was showing off her babies. She had 2 this year. She hangs out behind the house. She's never harmed or caused issues, so they haven't had any reason to relocate her. Oh my goodness. Beautiful. You see the spots though on the one? Let's see if I can show that. Wow. Wowzers. That's pretty darn close. Right? That's pretty close. Close to the home. Alright, so what did I miss? Corbin says it's a great company to work for, Felix. Thanks, Corbin. Tanya just reminds, if applicable, the inspector will check the medical examiner certificate, skill performance evaluation certificate, and the driver's daily vehicle inspection report. Yes. Amy says that baby's probably about 4 to 6 weeks old. Isn't that crazy? All right, so we went over a few of those statistics. I've got tons headed your way, by the way. International Roadcheck, it is a 72-hour inspection. So again, we've got the 8th through the 11th. The enforcement event identifies and removes any unsafe commercial motor vehicle and drivers from the roadways. So like I said, I think I gave those numbers. There was over 12,000 vehicles that were actually removed and over 2,700 drivers that were removed last year. So in 2019. Yeah. Highlights the daily work of 1,300 commercial motor vehicle inspectors throughout North America and acknowledges the safety compliance of motor carriers and professional drivers. So CVSA decals are eligible or on eligible vehicles. So during the inspection, if the inspector identifies critical vehicle inspection items to put you out of service, then they'll render the vehicle out of service, which means that those mechanical defects have to be corrected before the vehicle is permitted to proceed. So those must be taken care of before you can move forward. And a driver, if a driver is found to be in violation of a driver-related condition, then the CVSA, the North America standard out of service criteria, is then met, and they need to be placed out of service until that can be rectified, whatever it might be. If it's updating your logs, which remember we're ELD, so you might have to wait until those kind of catch up to you because you can only do so much for the editing. Let's see, I must have missed a question here. Oh, Felix says, can you stay out for 6 to 8 weeks at a time? Yes, you can. Just remember, if you're staying out that long, we're just relying on you more so on your fatigue level. We don't want you to get fatigued. We want to make sure that you've got the rest that you need. I do know a lot of drivers that stay out that long, but I also know even more who around the 3 or 4 week are needing that home time, needing that rest off the truck, get themselves settled back in before going back on the truck. So know your limits, know what you can do comfortably. If 6 to 8 works for you, awesome. We usually do for every 7 days out, it's a day and a half home time. However, when it comes to more than 7 days home time, that's pretty much our limit for the most part. Exceptions can be made, most definitely, but especially when it comes to our company drivers, we want to kind of straddle a 4-day work or a 4-day off. So 2 weeks out, maybe even 3 weeks out, and then home for 4 days. Because then you can straddle your home time and, especially in the refrigerated division, maximize your pay each week. Because we have a minimum pay. So every week you have a minimum of $1,000 a week that you make. That's in the refrigerated, that is company, but it's kind of a safety net, and you just maximize that pay if you have 2 weeks. If you have 2 days in each pay period that you take off, but no more than that. So, but the answer is yes, Felix. You absolutely can. Amy says, Felix, you can make your schedule. She knows that well. Corbin says, sounds like I'll be taking a lot of back roads. Well, be careful. Be careful and stay compliant. Tanya says, drivers found to be operating without the proper driver credentials, in possession of or under the influence of drugs or alcohol, operating while ill, fatigued, or showing other signs of impairment, or in violation of hours of service rules, may be placed out of service. Yes. Very true. Felix says, I'd like to stay home for only 2 to 3 days. Yeah, if that is enough for you, Felix, if that's enough downtime, absolutely, that's doable for us. We do have a couple guys that do it, but I would say not the majority. Tanya says the vehicle portion of the inspection includes checking critical vehicle inspection items, such as brake systems. We just had the CVS brake service. Let's see, when was that? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? In August there. Cargo securement, coupling devices, and all of that. So they still run the back roads here in Iowa. Tanya says. Amy says, does that mean immediately done? For the vehicle inspection? Is that what you're referring to? Making sure I'm understanding you right. So inspection levels, we've got, during the International Roadcheck, we've got the level 1 inspection. That's the 37 step that Tanya actually mentioned a few moments ago. And that's going to include the examination of the driver operating system requirements and the vehicle mechanical fitness. So both of those. Level 2 inspections includes everything that can be inspected without physically getting under the vehicle. So pretty much everything in plain sight without getting up under everything. And then level 3 inspection is going to review your driver requirements, such as your license, operating credentials, applicable cargo, vehicle documentation, record of duty status, seatbelt usage, and pretty much and on and on. So that's the level 3 inspection. Yeah. Felix says, would like to work for Decker. All right, sounds like a plan. Let's move it forward for you. Amy says, yes, if you're spotted with anything in your system. Oh yes, yes, absolutely. That would put you, that would shut you down. Hours of service. Speaking of hours of service, now different sort. Don't forget that the hours of service are going to be adjusted a little bit for the short haul come the 29th of the month, because we've got the new hours of service regulations that are kicking in there as well. That is new. The CVSA gathered and analyzed the data from the 3 days of the International Roadcheck from the US FMCSA, the Motor Carrier Management System, and pooled that data with the data that was collected and submitted by the Canadian CVSA's records. So, and then we've got a lot of statistics for you there. I gotta warm up. It was cold here this morning. Let's see. What did I miss here? Tanya says, if an inspector identifies critical inspection items that meet the North American standards of out of service, yep, during a vehicle inspection, then the inspector will render the vehicle out of service. Exactly. We mentioned that earlier as well, which means that it will be restricted to travel restricted to travel until all of that is taken care of, until it's up to date and back into service. So with Canada and the US pulling their records basically from the 3-day International Roadcheck, over 45,000 level 1 inspections were conducted. This is of 2019, so these numbers are from last year. And we've got updated numbers. I mean, if you even look back from 2016, 2017, 2018, and so forth. But as of last year, over 45,000 level 1 inspections were conducted. 21%, which is roughly about 9,800 of those inspected vehicles, were placed out of service. That's a pretty good chunk, 21%. Not quite 1 in 4 drivers or 1 in 4 trucks were placed out of service. That's too many. Too many. And the thing is this is preventable. If you did a proper pre-trip, you would have been able to prevent most of this. Tanya says approximately 4 million commercial motor vehicle inspections are conducted every year throughout North America to ensure the large trucks and buses driving on the roadways are operating safely. Yeah, good point, because honestly, you're putting more miles on a truck itself than anybody else on a roadway, most likely. So obviously those inspections have to continue. They have to be maintained. Amy says we had some snow, so it's a little cold. Still sweatshirt well. Yeah. Sweatshirt while in the sun. Yeah, that's how I am too. Or bundled up. I'm a wuss though. So last year there were over 60,000, not much more, 60,000 level 1, 2, and 3 inspections in Canada, or in the US. In Canada it was over 7,000 level 1, 2, and 3 inspections. So yeah, there was quite a bit more within the US. The total vehicle out of service rate in the US was 17.7. However, we did outrank in the best way. We did have fewer than Canada, which was about 19%, just a little over 19% for vehicle out of service rate. But remember, those aren't, honestly, I mean, I joke, but at the same time, those are serious numbers. It's not a laughing matter. It is a safety issue. And if it was brought out of service, there's a good reason for it. You want to make sure that your brakes are working properly. You want to make sure that you have all the right documentation for everything. And definitely the driver fatigue. You do not want to be driving fatigued at all. Over 4% of the drivers inspected in the US were placed out of service, which compared to the 2% of Canada being out of service is obviously not a number we want to be seeing. So the focus area for each year, there's a special emphasis in place on certain criteria. So this year's focus here in 2020 is, well, I guess actually last year's focus in 2019 was on the steering and suspension systems. This year it's more on documentation, driver documentation and everything. Sorry, just need to make sure I'm not missing any comments there. So this last year, again, it was on steering and suspension systems. So while they're checking those vehicle components in the North America or the CVSA, they're checking the steering components, suspension components, and they're still going to be doing some of that during this year's, but the main focus is on the documentation. So even though they'll do a little bit, it's not the majority of their focus. So vehicle safety and fitness, very, very important. Let's see, last year, inspectors identified over 400 steering. That's about 2.5% out of service vehicles violations for about over 400 steering, and 700 suspension, which is about 4% out of service vehicle conditions. And that was just during the International Roadcheck. That was only during the time that they warn you that they are going to do those inspections. So if you're still seeing those type of numbers in a time where it's announced, I mean, I can't even imagine what those numbers are the rest of the time, if we did the inspections the rest of the time, to the level at which we do now during the CVSA's Roadcheck. So, of the 67,000 inspections conducted in the International Roadcheck in 2019, there was over 16,000 out of service vehicle conditions. The vehicle portion of the inspection includes checking critical vehicle inspections, items like the brake systems, cargo securement, coupling devices, the driveline or drive shaft, driver's seat, missing the driver's seat, exhaust systems, frames, fuel systems, lighting devices, so that's going to include your headlamps, your tail lamps, stop lamps, turn signals, lamps, flags, anything basically projecting loads. Steering mechanisms, suspension. Again, remember the suspension was one of the main items that they were part of the Roadcheck last year. Tires, van, and open top trailer vehicles or trailer bodies, wheels, rims, hubs, windshield wipers, all of that went into effect during the critical vehicle inspection. So if you're looking at percentages, again, the percentage of violations with the brake system, which was the focus, 28% were out of service. Tires, 19%. So that makes me think of, did anybody see on Facebook this over the weekend? Steven Ferreira, he did a video. I thought it was funny. But just joking, he must have got a new trailer. And Amy, did you see that? Well, you had to have. But yeah, he must have got a new trailer. And it was just made me laugh. But anyways, the tires were too perfect to stay on the road. They, it's in too good of shape. But that just reminds me, check your tires, check your wheels. Obviously get under there, look at your brakes, your brake systems. Make sure your cargo is properly secured. For the refrigerated drivers, make sure your load locks are on there. For the flatbed drivers, make sure that you're properly secure, that you're tightened down, that the tarp is on securely as well. Making sure that you've tightened every load there. Tanya says pass inspection means that during a level 1 or level 5 or level 6 inspection, there are no critical violations according to North America's standard out of service criteria. If no critical violations are detected during the eligible inspection, then a CVSA decal is applied. Never liked those decals. I did see the TV, Amy. Yes, I was ignoring that part though. That one was terrible when he tripped and fell and elbow went through it. At least that's what he said. I heard, yeah, I saw that this morning. What else do I want to go over a little bit? Let's see, driver results. We talked about vehicle results. Driver results from last year, over 67,000, again, total inspections were conducted. Over 3,100, almost 3,200 out of service driver conditions. The top driver violation for out of service, 1,100, actually almost 1,200 for hours of service. That was the top violation for 2019. For December, or as of December 17th of 2018, the U.S. Department of Transportation, so the DOT, requires the use of the electronic logging system, so ELDs. Remember that we are currently on our Omnitrax Qualcomm system, but we are transitioning over to the Geotab, the TransFlow Geotab unit. So we'll be in the midst of all of that. But anyways, for December 17th of 2018, everybody needs to be on these ELDs in the commercial motor vehicles who are involved in interstate commerce. The ELD mandate did not, however, change any of the underlying hours of service, so those still remained But again, on the 29th of September, some of those updates for short haul, more specifically, are going to go into effect. Also, for the 29th of September, when it comes to weather, that also will give you an extra 2 hours that you'll be aware of. So any questions on that, make sure that you talk to the safety department. You can talk to Shannon or Rick, or get a hold of Lisa or Patrice on any details for that. So driver out of service conditions were hours of service, like I said, which was almost 1,200 violations, but it was over 37% out of service driver violations. Wrong class license, 22%. That's quite a number for not having the correct license category. False logs, 14%, almost 15%. Suspended license, over 7%. Drug and alcohol, 3%. Expired license, 3%. And violating license restriction, just a little over 1%. Again, all of these things can be preventable if we do it properly. Tanya says, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, in 2013, over 3,100 people were killed in distraction-affected crashes, and 424,000 were injured. Any death or injury as a result of a distraction is one too many. And again, because it's preventable, it is all preventable. They did discover for 2019 that over 700, almost 750 seatbelt violations had occurred during the FMCSA's numbers there. And that was, again, that's the latest usage for the Commercial Motor Vehicle Drivers Survey. And the overall seatbelt usage rate for drivers for medium to heavy truckloads, motor carriers, was about 86%. And that was as of 2016 though. All right. Most of those numbers were 2019, excuse me. So remember, we've got from basically yesterday, the 9th to the 11th, they'll be focusing on the driver requirements. So today's actually the 8th I was trying to think of, but it's actually starting tomorrow. That's when they'll be doing those road checks. CVSA International Road Checks. So be prepared. Please, please, please. That's absolutely right. Be prepared. Again, those focuses, driver documents, motor carrier identity, make sure that you've got your books out ready to go, license, med card, hours of service, and the periodic inspection reports. Those all need to be ready to go and to quickly present. If you're using your Qualcomm unit or your Geotab, get to the right spot on your ELDs. Make sure that you can get that information to the officer or the inspector right away. Okay. Excellent. We are covering some ground. Amy says they need to make vehicles that don't move unless you're buckled. I know our side-by-side won't go into gear if the seatbelt doesn't click. Yeah, I'm surprised they don't, honestly. With all of the advancements that they have, I'm surprised that is not one that's required. That's a good point. It is, it is. Make sure you guys are staying compliant on all of those. I agree with that. I wonder what, okay, so I'm going to double check here. So last year, 2019, so it was 67,000 inspections in 2019. 2018 was a little bit more than 67, so 67,600 and 3 inspections on large trucks. I'm looking at 21% of motor vehicles with level 1 inspections were placed out of service. 3.9% of vehicles were received a level 1, 2, or 3 inspection were placed out of service. That was in 2018. So compared to our 17% in 2019. So at least there was improvement. You get about 4% improvement on that. But for the driver out of service rate, we actually went down about 0.3%, excuse me. Math is not my strong suit. 2017, 23% of vehicles were put out of service, 4.2% of drivers. So we are improving when it comes to the vehicle out of service for the last several years. However, for the driver out of service, it's still remaining right about that 4%. We can do better. Let's do better. Let's see some increase. That is, of course, nationwide, those numbers that I'm giving you. We'll see some improvements. All right, so best way to do it, you guys, prepare. Do a proper pre-trip. Make sure that you avoid all of those unneeded violations and definitely unneeded points against you. So be ready, be prepared. That's the best that I can advise you. So avoid any of those violations that you can. Also would like to recognize, moving gears here, recognize our Hero of the Week, Lisa Sanders. Congratulations, Lisa, for being rewarded the Hero of the Week. If you guys have anybody that you would like to nominate for Hero of the Week, please go ahead and send that to me at jbutler@deckermail.com. You can also send it to marketing@deckermail.com, or honestly, the easiest way for a lot of you is just to send me a message through Facebook, facebook.com/DTL Inc., and send me a picture and a reason why you chose this individual for the Hero of the Week. So Lisa went over and beyond to help accommodate some of our drivers. Actually, she does it on a regular basis, but a couple weeks ago, it just was super adamant, and man, we just really thank you, Lisa, for going beyond and making sure that happened to provide for him and get him what he needed. So thank you very much for the hard work that you've done. It definitely did not go unnoticed. And again, for any of you who would like to submit a Hero of the Week, it does not have to be one of our professional drivers. Lisa is not, but again, it doesn't even have to be anybody in the company, but someone that you want to recognize for the hard work that they've been doing. Tanya says, she is amazing at her job. We appreciate everything she does. That be true. Congratulations, Amy says. So, yes, indeed. I agree with that. So, and I wanted to do a huge shout out to you as well, Lisa. Also, Risky Red says, did you like my photo? Did you just send it? Which photo? I guess I didn't see it. I didn't see it, Howard. Are you talking about the flowers from the week before? That I did like, most definitely. No? Oh, the one with the flowers. Okay, yeah. Yes, I did like them. That was actually, those played last week. I thought you were on here last week, though. Those played last week during our live. Oh, they're not playing right now. I thought I could get them. Nope. No go. I thought I was going to be able to get them here so that you guys could see them. Just doesn't want to. Fine then. Fine. I won't show them this time around. They were awfully pretty. This is the best looking plant stand I've ever seen. He had them on the basically underneath the fifth wheel. Well, at one point you had it on the fifth wheel, didn't you? Or just on the tires when he was bobtailing. Well, it wasn't actually bobtailing at the time, but it was sitting bobtail. That could have been an event. This last week, so last Thursday, we had our podcast was about guaranteed pay, minimum pay for our drivers. If you missed this last week's podcast, you guys make sure that you go and listen to that. There you go, on his tires at home, he says. Yeah, so if you missed this last week's podcast, please go and grab it. It's our Inside the Triangle Decker podcast. There's a new one out every Thursday. And this last one was Abby, and Abby went through and discussed some of our pay, our guaranteed pay for our refrigerated drivers, guaranteed pay for actually flatbed and refrigerated drivers, as well as our guaranteed pay for the minimum, or a minimum pay, I guess I should say, for our drivers, our refrigerated drivers, out of both Fort Dodge, Iowa and Missoula, Montana divisions. So if you missed the podcast, go listen to it. They're not very long. They're usually about half an hour, 45 minutes, somewhere around there. And every once in a while we'll get some words of wisdom from Anna on those if you haven't. You guys they're a hoot, honestly. So if you haven't heard them, please go take a minute to hear them. Abby's is very informative, and we'll continue to give you more information on that. It's nice to know how the company has gone over and beyond to just not only take care of our drivers, but really set standards for the rest of the industry. You know, challenge to see everybody moving up to take care of all of our drivers. Again, there's a driver shortage, like Corbin mentioned. You're seeing a possibility of 18 to 20-year-olds coming out on the road for interstate. So there's definitely going to be some new guys on the road. Felix says he lives south of Tucson. Now that area is going to be a little difficult for us. Honestly, it's the Phoenix area that we can hire out of. Tucson, you'd be staying out 6 to 8 weeks. It'd be worth trying. We'll talk to our operations about it as well. But staying out 6 to 8 weeks, it might be a possibility. Otherwise, you'd be staying out. You'd be eating a lot of deadhead just because it's not close to our freight. Phoenix is close to the freight that we've got out of Arizona. So good question, Felix. Let's see what we can do. Tanya, yes, great reminder. We do have flatbed divisions or flatbed positions available. Whether you're looking at the guaranteed pay, which is out of the Midwest, or if you're looking at over the road or more regional out of the Southeast, then you do require 1 year of flatbed experience. We do require flatbed experience for our flatbed divisions. Risky Red says, going to the unemployment office to recruit new drivers. Yeah, actually, there are a lot of very experienced drivers right now that are on unemployment. Just because with COVID, some of the companies weren't standing strong, financially as stable as Decker or some of the rest of us. So probably not a bad idea. And we do have a very hefty recruiting bonus for our drivers. So if you have a referral, I guess more of a referral bonus than a recruiting bonus, but if you've referred somebody that's been hired on, you get $1,500 for every driver that you refer, for the first 3 at least that you refer, and it pays out within 90 days. However, if you refer 4 or 5 drivers, it'll be $2,000, still paid out within 90 days. If you refer 6 or more, it's $2,500 per driver. So yeah, take advantage of that. Make sure you're using your TransFlow app either on your phone or on the GeoTab unit if you're using that, or the Qualcomm. But yeah, the TransFlow app will keep your information along with the driver you're referring together so that we can make sure that we are compensating at the right individual for that referral. Plus, if you give us a call, if you talk to your recruiter and let them know that you've got someone calling in with their name and information, that'll work too. Risky Red says, I had 2 drivers wondering if they qualified. Howard, just give us a call, let us know who they are, and so that we can give them a call and let them know if they did, and maybe they have a different telephone number. I ran into that last week. I had somebody approved. Their number had been changed in the midst of all that. Thankfully, he called back and said, hey, change my number, so that we were finally able to say that he did qualify and we were ready to go. But yeah, let us know if you have different information for him. Felix says, what if I want to lease with you? If you want to lease, it is definitely going to be hard with being that far out of our hiring area. It's still worth checking because staying out 6 to 8 weeks, maybe it's an option. But I definitely don't want you eating a lot of the miles or the fuel because of deadhead. Anybody who's done lease purchase or owner operator knows how important it is to have a good grasp of your fuel efficiency and to not have all that overhead. So we want to avoid that at all costs. Definitely don't want to see you getting upside down into a lease purchase because of it. But again, staying out 6 to 8 weeks, that's a long time. And if that's what you're comfortable with, you're obviously not going to be headed home and eating that deadhead as much as somebody who would be getting home every 2 weeks. So Tanya mentions, yep, all referral bonuses pay pay within 90 days of hire? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So guaranteed pay, Abby talks about that in the podcast. If you missed it, join us. So the podcast talks about the guaranteed pay for the flatbed. $14.50 a week in most areas for our guaranteed home time weekly in the Midwest, as well as the $14.50 a week. So the base pay per mile is anywhere from 47 to 54 cents a mile. And yes, you'll get mileage pay if you didn't exceed that $14.50, or if you didn't meet that $14.50 a week, but you met all of the requirements, which is get your paperwork in, no driver service failures, be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. Usually you're coming in on like a Friday night or a Saturday morning and leaving back out on a Sunday night or a Monday morning. Get your paperwork in, no driver service failures, be available for dispatch 5 days out of the week. What am I missing? No CSA violations or preventable accidents that week. Those are all requirements for the guaranteed pay. Felix says, can I drive as a company driver until I move to Queen Creek? Yeah, absolutely. Because we do have, usually, if you don't have $1,500 deposit or down payment for the lease purchase, then you're going to run as a company driver first anyways. That makes sure that you're qualified, that you're getting that scorecard on a regular basis, especially with a focus on the idle time, the fuel efficiency and the idle time, because that's what you really want to have good control over when it comes to being a lease purchase driver. Which, speaking of podcasts, you can hear Sean Swallows on that, and he does a great job of explaining how important it is to have a good grasp of your fuel efficiency. So, excellent. Good question. Thank you. What else for guaranteed pay? We also have short haul flatbed. Remember, all of our flatbed divisions do require flatbed experience. Minimum of 9 months in the Midwest, a year of over the road, or a year of flatbed for our over the road divisions. Our refrigerated divisions require 9 months of tractor trailer experience. Yep, it does not necessarily have to be refrigerated, but obviously if it is, fantastic. Van, same thing. Yep, the van also requires 9 months of tractor trailer experience. Howard says, I love Queen Creek. I'm making words up here now. I love the Queen Creek area, but I'm moving up and retiring to Lake Havasu. Lake Havasu. Oh, still very nice. Queen Creek I am not familiar with, though, that area. So now I'm going to have to go check it out. Yeah. All right, you guys, over-the-road refrigerated starts anywhere from 43 to 48 cents a mile. Do not forget, we have that minimum pay in all of the refrigerated divisions. So whether you're thinking guaranteed pay of the $12.50 a week for the refrigerated or just that $1,000 minimum, that is minimum. Do not think that that is your maximum. That's just kind of a safety net. Make sure that you're not making less than that gross per week, and we want to see you make more. You know, $1,200 to $1,500 a week gross would be more of a comfort level, I think, for most of you. So that's what we'd like to see. So you'd be getting paid mileage pay instead of that base of $1,000 a week. You'd be getting the mileage pay plus or times the miles that you ran to maximize your gross pay each week. If you guys have questions on that, we do have a video on the guaranteed pay. Plus, I can answer them right here if you aren't clear on that. But yeah, we do have a video on it. Check out our YouTube channel. Make sure that you're subscribing. If you haven't already, go and do that. That way you're not missing out on that information. And we will be here next Tuesday as well at noon Central, going over some of the other details and giving you some more up-to-date information. Anything that we hear with this 18 to 20 as well, we'll give you updates there. On 4 p.m. on Monday, 4 p.m. Central, we'll be on our Facebook channel, facebook.com/DTL Inc. Tanya says, it would be comforting to me. What would be comforting to you? I missed it. So yes, all of that. The minimum pay, absolutely. That's what you're talking about. It's way over my head, Tanya. Way over my head. Oh, so sad. She puts up with me, thank goodness. Any other questions? Felix, I did get your Facebook information. I will be getting that information to you. So your email and your telephone number and stuff. I'll be getting that information to you here shortly, as soon as the live is over. So I'll email all of that over to you. Need more caffeine. Need some caffeine. Crazy. All right, so if you are not ready, be ready for this week's CVSA's International Road Check. Please be ready, be safe, and please take care. So I will let you guys go. Tanya, thank you so much for subbing in and helping us out. And thank you, each of you, for taking the time to be here, ask the questions, and hopefully get some of those questions answered. You guys are awesome. Awesome, awesome. All right, so until next week, we will just hope that you guys have a safe week. Please be careful. Like I said, weather is all over the place. Make sure you have your chains. Make sure that you're ready all together. Pre-trip, throwing pins now. Pre-trip, you've done a thorough job of that. So when you do get an inspection, all is good. And don't forget, you do get $50 for all the clean inspections. So it'd be sweet to pay out some major moolah here next week, or I guess by the end of the week, during this inspection blitz. So awesome. Awesome, awesome. All right, you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you next week. So please be safe and warm.